What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I'm just walking around in Bucharest. Pretty awesome place. It kind of reminds you of Paris, surprisingly. Only thing I had known about Bucharest or Romania was Andrew Tate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had heard about it, but you had never really paid attention to it. But I had a lot of conversations with people here. It's a lot of building. One guy was telling me that the official population was somewhere around 3 million. The unofficial population was probably closer to 6. They also said that it's a lot of foreigners that's moving in. Let me just kind of show y'all what's going on all around me. This is on a Thursday evening / night, right? And so they was telling me that the unofficial population is probably closer to 6. It's a lot of visitors. Me coming from Metro Detroit, my plane had to go over to Frankfurt, Germany, and then I had to take another flight over here to Bucharest. So I'll be here for at least the next 4 to 5 days or something like that. We will be doing the Millionaire Morning Show tomorrow from here, and it is a fun time. Also, on top of that, I will say that it is 7 hours ahead of where I was in Detroit with Eastern Time Zone. So calculate that. I got 2 phones, and so I usually just have one phone at whatever the local time is where I'm at, and then the other phone is where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? But aside from that, separate from that, I kind of want to have a conversation with you guys about culture. And I don't want to have a conversation just about culture in general, but our cultural norms, right? And when I say that, I'm saying it from the lens of what's happening with our political landscape. And so let's look at it from this perspective. One of the conversations that was happening on Monday night and then what happened on Tuesday night, because, you know, I had flew in from Atlanta, came from the hardly initiated conversation, and then I went over and I was having a conversation on a panel, and one guy had posed a question that then bled into a separate conversation, but similarly on Tuesday night. And he said, why are we the only culture that at large starts to champion the deletion of babies and then frame it as reproductive rights? Why are we at large the only culture that he knows of, that I know of, and feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm not aware, why is it that we are the only culture that champions and celebrates and fights for the deletion of babies? Think about this for a second. Now, I'm going to tell you what they said on Tuesday, because I was having a conversation with Carrie, and then Rita was informing me of some things also, right? And they were saying that they didn't know of anybody that they grew up with as friends. This place is pretty freaking awesome. They didn't know of anybody they grew up with as friends that they can think of right off the top of their head that did not have, let's hold on for a second. That did not have a deletion. And you know what I mean by a deletion. I'm trying to be sensitive. Reproductive rights, whatever they want to frame it. They didn't know any girl right off the top of their head that they were friends with, that they had conversations about, that didn't have a deletion. And that just blew my mind, because I'm like, none except for y'all? And then y'all wind up being great products. Y'all wind up getting married. Y'all wind up being in a great space. They like, right off the top of my head, Anton, they like, for whatever reason, this election right here forced us to start thinking differently and start to look at our past and try to figure out why so many people and why the Democratic Party is so heavy on championing reproductive rights. Or that's the way they frame it, right? And then I'm like, that's a heck of an argument. Like, that's a heck of a conversation. And I want to pose that question over there to you guys. Why is that such an important thing? Of all the things that we can champion, of all of the things that we can fight for, if all of the things that is important to us, we would focus on that. We're not focused on education. We're not focused on immigration. We're not focused on economic policy. We don't even really care about inflation until it really starts to hit us, to where it becomes something that you can't ignore, right? We don't focus on any of those things. We focus on the things that we actually can control ourselves But then we put it in the hands of the federal government and we say we want more oversight, more overreach. But now it starts to make sense. And it also makes sense when I talk about, the conversations that I was having. I don't even know what he was saying. He could have been saying something crazy. I'm also, having conversations based off of when I was on Hardly Initiated. And when I was debating with Yada, one of the things that really bothered me in his pandering was that he refused to hold women accountable to the same extent as men. And if we're in a space where women can do what they want to do, come on, let's roll. If we're in a space where women can basically do what they want to do when they want to do it, why wouldn't you hold people accountable for their choices? One of them said, I forgot if it was, I think it was Carrie. She said where she was from, and I'm not going to tell you where she lived at or where she's from. She said where she's from, it was nothing to just be able to go into Planned Parenthood and do whatever it is that you wanted to do. And then Rita said, and I know, and she said it, and the tripped out part about it is the girls had the ability to go in and get whatever contraception or preventative maintenance or whatever they wanted to do too. Ain't it crazy? Ain't that silly to think about, that we're fighting for something that we have control over? And then so many people will say, well, we was raised in the hood. Well, this and that. Well, so on and so forth. At what point do we start to remove the excuses and say this thing should not be meaningful in your culture, in your communities, in your households? If the first thing that comes up in my household is somebody is sitting there arguing with me about reproductive rights as to that's the reason why they decided to vote for somebody, I got more questions. I got to start to figure something else out, because we doing something real wrong. And now our cultural influences is spreading into the way that we vote and the things that we then participate in and is a part of. And so I don't really need that. I don't care about that, because I can control that. What I can't control is how much you tax me. What I can't control is how much y'all putting into our schools. What I can't control is how much y'all protecting our borders. What I can't control is what's happening with these proxy wars and the fact that now North Korea is putting additional, I don't want to be a part of that. Oh, that looked dope. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to get into this. I don't want to be a part of a culture that champions the degeneracy of what we got going on and thinking that that's our norm and that's the way that we supposed to rock. But here we are, 2024, still talking about racism, still talking about reproductive rights, still talking about Roe v. Wade, still talking about the dumb stuff and identity politics, and those are the reasons why y'all deciding to vote for somebody. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. And then last but not least, get your tickets to come and kick it with me in person. We need to have these conversations in person. Discount code Anton, put that in, and then we're going to get it rocking, all right? I love you. I appreciate you. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your mornings. For me, times is weird. Enjoy. I'm out.